search for Magusar even now, but there's not a trace of him left. I imagine barring him alone from this dream world was the crux of their plan. Persepius' soul spoke from within me.
What can you leave this world?
The bonds I share with my partner, that will be my legacy. I would say this to Magusar as he fights the madness that consumes him. The bonds we share are the truest proof of our existence. I must escape this false world and hurry to his side. Terwin, hierarch of Grimm, and creator of this illusion. Finally, my search for her bore fruit. This world was crafted to suit her whims. However, I had my doubts that my magic could even reach her. But still I fought, on and on, to shatter this illusion. Until I lost all sense of time. As she set her monsters on me, she began to tell a story.
For the sake of amusement,
She said. Once, long ago, there lived a girl and her young brother. Her childhood was complex, for she was born of a sorcerer and a common woman. With that parentage came a host of troubles. Her brother was a pure mage and true bred. The two of them, as children, met a nameless sorcerer. He told all manner of tales. Tales of how he built the world anew using the sacred chalice. And even the Prophet Grimm's theory of eternal recursion. The girl was awed, and in time her fondness for the man grew. The boy was envious.
we are those siblings.
Terwin declared. Well, if I was to believe her, she was equal part a man. Two souls inhabited her body. The nameless sorcerer had told the children,
"One day, I will lose sight of myself."
It was as he'd said. He took the name of Magusar. Driven by her love, she sought a way to save the nameless sorcerer. But the brother saw his chance to win her back and plotted the man's murder. His sister sought to stop him. There was no choice, she said. No other way to stop her brother turned monster by his jealousy. It was only after she had claimed his soul as part of her that she came to understand. Only after sacrificing him did she feel the depth of his love. which could not be. For all the suffering her blood had brought her, it was far worse for him. The siblings cursed their fate and raged against the unfair world. That rage became their fuel. They spread Grimm's prophecy, having seen the cruelty at the heart of eternal recursion. Hearing her tale, I could not help but voice the question. Had she woven this illusion to be reunited with her brother? Her expression quickly changed. Had she found her brother's soul? For the first time I felt able to relate to the fiends rampaging before me. It's only human to want to see lost loved ones again. If such a thing could happen here, who among us would deny this dream world? Even knowing it for a false comfort, would the salvation found be any less real? Doubt gripped me like a length of heavy chain. I fell to my knees, unable to rise again. What man has never cursed the world? Never wept at life's iniquity? The force that drives her is shared by all mankind. That was when I noticed. When I understood. I suppose this sort of thing can happen in a dream world. No matter how muddled my memories, one image remains with me crystal clear. And there it was. Her face. I expect she came to ridicule me for nearly giving up. She enticed me with the same words she said when we first met.
Rise,
She said, dead souls bound to the flesh of the living linger here. Apparently, it seemed, she was no exception. For there she was, my old partner, just as she looked then. The question always plagued me. Did she hate me for what I'd done? Would she see who I'd become and forgive me for sacrificing her? I had told her nothing, I realized. All this while I just listened to her voice, not answering. Surely there was no end to the things I wanted to say to her. But here she was at last, and I had no idea where to begin.
All right, let's go. Come on.
Even then, during the ordeal, she always walked a step ahead. As if she knew the answer lay around the next turn.
So, aren't you keeping someone on the outside, waiting?
Standing next to her, a wave of powerful nostalgia washed over me. The real world's not all bad. The vivid memory of those days with her told me as much.
And you'll not regret it.
Terwyn spat the question at me through ragged breaths. If I ended her, this dream world would likely end as well. It would mean farewell. For Terwyn and her brother. For me, with dear Sortiara. In all likelihood, the parting would prove final this time. I looked at Sortiara. Her face was exactly as it had been the day our ordeal began. It stabbed at my heart. She looked the same for a reason. Her time had stopped then, and I'd gone on living without her. We would never inhabit the same time again, she and I. This Sortiara was a ghost, an echo of a memory, become an illusion. Sad though it was, my duties lay elsewhere, beyond this place. I turned my back on her, for the sight of her face chips away at my resolve. I raised my hand to Terwyn's body, prepared to finish my business. All of a sudden, a second, thinner arm appeared. Sortiara placed her hand on mine. As the illusion crumbled, she offered me a faint smile. You chose well, it seemed to say. The memories of Terwyn and her brother flowed into me, together with their souls. I met them once, long ago when they were still children. No, that was Illusibra's memory, not mine. An after-image of their youthful faces remains engraved in my arm. It's plausible, assuming Illusibra's partner and the man Terwyn fell in love with are one and the same. The man who rekindled a dead world with the chalice. The one who took up the name of Magusa, his memories in chaos. The man I called a partner. Magusa's gift was not for seeing the future. No, his visions were of the past, muddled fragments of old memories. He saw how the world repeated, what mechanisms were behind it. What he called premonitions were likely just glimpses of memories of before. The nameless sorcerer strove to change the world. His words took root and spread as prophecy. So Grimm was born. Terwin was moved more than any. Perhaps his words had too great an influence on her. If fate had been changed only slightly, she may never have become the monster she did. If, perhaps, the nameless one she loved had not succumbed, if he had remained the same. Terwin fought to change the world in her own way. Indeed, she fought to be reunited with her brother. But if that was her sole want, she needn't change the world. Greater than any selfish desire was her love for that sorcerer. Her reverence for him drove her to save the world in his place. In her own way. Such was the influence the man's words bore on the world. He had already been fighting a long, long time before we met. Struggling against unjust fate. It was too great a task for any one man. I couldn't simply leave it to him. Even if he did come from an older world, he was still my partner in this one. The dream world Terwin had crafted began to crumble. As the fragments rained down, I saw Sortiara's lips move.
You're leaving, aren't you?
I would never see her again. No price, no sacrifice could hurt as deeply as that realization.
The Red Sorcerer. She calls for you.
I nodded, but my feet refused to carry me away from her. I had still not spoken a word. The emotion surged and rose in me, but I could not speak. More than anything, I think I'd always wanted to apologize. Since the day I'd ended her life. A cowardly, selfish urge, I know. To ask forgiveness of the woman I had murdered.
It's all right.
I watched her lips form the words.
I was always with you.
I found salvation in those words, though they made our inexorable parting all the harder. I was cursed to lose her a second time. Her hand came to rest on my right arm.
This is my home now. We can meet any time you wish.
She smiled softly as the world around us grew brighter. Amidst the spreading glow, her voice washed over me like a tender caress along an open wound. She said,
Please, don't make that face.